Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of the Squadron podcast. This week, we're taking a step back from
the meta.
We've had a lot of talk recently. You guys have been absolutely wonderful. Watching the videos, commenting on the videos. We're loving the discussion with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. But this episode, like we did for the set one, we're taking a step back and we're really appreciating the art of set two, Shadows of the Galaxy.
Especially when set two, in my opinion, I think overall, from what I was seeing, is set two's art widely is really good. I think a lot of people had definitely a lot of concerns with set one's art, some valid, some maybe not so valid. Overall, if you can ignore the Grogu debacle, which I don't really know why it is one, but if you can ignore it, set two's art's really good. And I think last week we generated some really interesting discussion about the meta. This week, let's generate some interesting discussion about art. Let us know down below what your favorite piece of art is. But before we get into that, we do have two cards to talk about.
One leader, one legendary. Again, we're filming a little bit early,
earlier.
We'll do another 3 leaders next week.
Yep. This leader, though, is an absolute doozy.
Really, we knew it had to be a cunning hero leader. It's one we hadn't seen for way too long.
Finally.
But it's finally here, our common hero,
Yellow.
cunning hero, and it is not
Jar Jar Binks. He'll
be the red. Yeah, the 2 cost 2 for action
Please.
deploy to sleep.
Nah, don't give us that.
But it is Quinlan Voss.
Sticking the landing.
Absolutely, and he is really cool.
I genuinely think he's really good. I think one thing I want to say before we talk about this leader is I think that yellow hero overall has been lacking in the leader department a little bit. Like a lot of their leaders are very gimmicky. Like Lando's fun and interesting, but he's not super widely great. No. I think Jin's interesting, but I think she maybe flips a bit too late.
If she was a 5 flipper, she'd be very good at it.
Yeah, but seeing leaders like this is really cool. I really like that yellow is bringing in that incidental ping, because they said that yellow is all about disruption and stuff like that. Yeah. So Quinlan Voss says, when you play a unit, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same as the played unit.
Yeah. Immediately very, very easy to match to Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has a few different caveats. It's any card instead of just Underworld, but you get to choose where it pings, even if that was also limited by being the same cost. But yeah,
most importantly,
it has its upsides, it has its downsides on CAD. So I think it is a really fair thing that they've put through.
I agree.
As between him and CAD, and it would be tough to decide. And I really need to practice with him to work out which one of those is. I don't know. I would dare say that they're probably fairly similar.
I agree. I think one's trait locked and the other one is cost locked. It's interesting though, because you can still do all of those good shenanigans with this leader that you can do with CAD on like turn 1 and turn 2. Here, Cloud Rider, turn 1, Cloud Rider for 4 damage. Then if you're playing a 3 cost unit on turn 2, again you can ping their 3 cost unit. I think this leader naturally will see really good play as a red-yellow hero mid-range deck, similar to what we saw Cad Bane with like a Tarkin Town and place to ping. And ultimately, I think he's going to be really interesting overall because he's also an aggressive flip leader.
So he flips at 5. He's a 3/7.
Pretty good.
Force Jedi Republic, so let's not sleep on those keywords either.
Best keywords in the game!
And when you play a unit, you may deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same or less than the unit played. Now,
this is huge.
And the big thing that I was saying that CAD should have had, it's not once per turn.
Yeah, I think the caveat with this leader is that the longer the game goes on, obviously the harder it is to have this ability go off, because you need to be playing on curve. But the difference is that I think Cad would be very strong if he wasn't limited, because you've got a lot of stuff. But I think that I think Underworld is a little easier to get because Underworld's units are just so amazing. But it's a little easier to get than the same cost. But, you know, if you're versing like an aggro deck and they're dropping 2 costs and 2 costs and 2 costs, and you're dropping like 3 2 costs a turn, you can just be like, I'll play this, this, and this, and ping that unit to kill it.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
that's pretty good.
I'll just ping this, ping that, ping this, and then
spread that damage around.
Like, trade through.
Ultimately, as well, we're seeing that 3/7 stat line come through, which is awesome. This is a great stat line. We were discussing it before the episode. Boba definitely is an oversight. Definitely a mistake.
If they made him now, it would have been a 3/7, but they didn't, and they made him then, and so he's a 4/7, and that's what we're gonna have to live with.
But it is good to see 3/7 come through. He's got the Django stat line. We got 3/7 Quinlan, so it's good to see more of a reflection this set rather than just like a wide margin of like.
Yeah.
There's no 4/6s heroes in set 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then we got Bosk, who's a 4/6 in set 2. And then, you know, there's a 2/8 in CAD who's really interesting, but, you know, and then we've got the 2 high health villain leaders. But it's better to see more of like a fair balance of like, okay, villain gets a 3/7 yellow, so hero gets a 3/7 yellow.
Yeah, which is nice to see, but it's also one of those situations where it wasn't necessarily bad to see that separation as well, and I think we will see it in like rare. I think the rare leaders are going to have those kind of weirder stat lines, like Cad Bane and having that 2/8 with Raid 2, which makes it a really interesting dichotomy of what it is versus what it's like, what the stats are versus what the actual play value is of a unit. And I think being able to ping damage is actually is really good.
I will say I did not see this character as a leader coming. I know Quinlan's a really big fan favorite character. Ultimately, he doesn't have a lot of canon material though. I believe he's in 3 to 4 episodes of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And I think that he had a book with Asajj Ventress. I'm pretty sure they die at the end though, so I don't believe that's canon anymore. Because he is mentioned in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show as being alive. He's one of the Jedi and stuff like that who marked his name in the tunnel who got escaped. But Quinlan Vos is a fan favorite character. Didn't expect him to see him coming. Very happy that he's here.
Speaking on the art episode, the art of this leader is very, very nice.
It's
I think
incredible.
they've really nailed Quinlan Vos on this, and he's a beefy boy, and he is an angry boy, and those are 2 of Quinlan Voss's defining traits.
Yeah, I like that they captured the fact that he's like a very beefy character. I think the artwork shrouding him in the grey with the like light hovering over him is really nice because he is ultimately closer to being like a grey Jedi or a dark Jedi. Traditionally, a lot of the time in the legend stuff, he does fall to the dark side. He becomes Dooku's apprentice in a few iterations, and I like that he deals the damage as kind of like he's a darker fella, just like how Mace Windu utilizes the dark side. So I think at the end of the day, I give him a 4.5 out of 5 on the Spy-Someter. And I really like Quinlan. I think it's awesome to see him. And I hope that this means we get an Asajj Ventress card, because they have a relationship. That's a really interesting one.
Speaking of really good guys, just really upstanding fellows.
Really, really good guys.
They needed him. He stood up, took on the responsibility of being the wartime chancellor.
I love him. You love him. He loves democracy. He loves the Republic.
It's Chancellor Palpatine. And so this Chancellor Palpatine is a 4-cost. Cunning.
He sure is.
2/6 Republic official.
Ooh, those are some good keywords. Notably can't be run with Mos Ameda.
Notably not a separatist, so couldn't be a bad guy.
I don't think... I know Emperor Palpatine's bad, but I don't think there's any relation. I haven't finished Revenge of the Sith, but...
I'm pretty sure they're 2 separate guys.
Yeah, I think...
Well, one's all, like, burnt up.
Yeah, and that's like, there's no relation, so who knows. But this card, I actually genuinely was really hoping for something like this in the set. I thought it would come as a card that's like, play this, ready all your tokens, but this is even better in my opinion. So it's a 4-cost 2/6, hard to remove, decent, really cool, interesting cunning deck to build, but each token unit you create enters play ready. And when he attacks, if a unit left play this phase, make a clone. That's pretty awesome I'm like a big fan of this. I definitely want to try my hand at making like a little battle droid deck with Grievous with him in it, and then also try a Quinlan deck with clones as the focus and just see where it goes. Because ultimately, this is a really fun card with, if your opponent can't play around it or you can protect him, a fairly powerful effect.
No, absolutely. If you're able to get this off in any like sort of major capacity, it's game ending, which is exactly why it's a legendary, right? And it is one of those situations where he does have that nice stat line that dodges a lot of the easy removal, so you do have to use something a little bit harder against him.
I think this is a great target for, and very thematic for Now There Are Two. Because, you turn one, play a Republic unit, pay 3, play him turn 2, and then the next turn on turn 3, when you would be at 4 resources, well, you can cunning them, buff him up, swing something in turn 1 to trade, swing him in, make a clone, swing the clone, like, it's pretty cool stuff you can do. Obviously, this one thing that I really want to do is have him on the board when I play Invisible Hand, to make 4 battle droids and ready them.
I want to build a yellow-green deck that runs him for 6, and then Clone Wars.
Yeah, honestly, paying him 4/6 in a like mid-range token-focused deck isn't that bad if you've got ramp.
Yeah, absolutely. You do something like play Palpatine Leader with yellow, run ramp, get him out, and then like next turn Clone Wars for like 8 clones all coming in ready. They get 8 battle droids, but they all come in tapped.
Yeah,
so, and then you're just like, awesome.
And if you want to, you could just like, if you have other droid enablers, just kill one. Just like ping it, draw a card, then be like swing pal.
Yeah,
make it too. I think that's awesome. That's like a genuinely really cool game ender. I think like I'm very excited for this card because I think it opens the door for a lot of really interesting shenanigans.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about these double cards is the only things we've really seen of this are those main cunning vigilance, and it's double cards that don't feel bad to play in mono. In dual color decks.
No.
And I think this might be one of them where this for 6 is tough, but it also can have such an upside that it does have its moments where it would be a really good play.
I was actually considering even building Rex with this because, imagine, you get to that point and then Rex dies and then you follow up with this. And then the next turn you're like, oh, awesome, I swing, I kill something here, my clone dies, I pay 2, I make a clone, he's ready, I swing with Palp, I make a clone, he's ready, and I swing and like you just see cool stuff like that, like him with Shark T is really awesome. You swing Shark T and make a 3/2 untapped. Like, that's pretty awesome. So he can do a lot of good stuff. I give him a 4 out of 5, and I really like to see what you can come up with shenanigan-wise.
And Set 3 does seem to have a lot of shenanigans in it. But you know what we still need to talk about in Set 2? And that is art, baby.
Ooh, yeah.
And there's a lot of art to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I know you have 4 cards that you want to talk about. I have 3 cards that I want to talk about, so we'll let you take it away first.
We're going to do this very similar to we did Set 1. We're going to talk about card art we like, talk about the artists, talk about why we like the card art, and then we're going to list off a couple of notable cards they've done. My first one is Eric Hibbler, who has, in Set 1, he did Luke Skywalker, For a Cause, and Mon Mothma. He has done a few cards this set, including both starter deck leaders, but I today want to talk about Lando Calrissian. Not a widely liked leader, however, I am very biased. I'm a huge Donald Glover fan, and I really like the smuggle mechanic. So when I saw the artwork for this leader, way back when we saw it in a promotional image, I was like, that's a leader art, and I love it. I'm a big fan. I think that the usage of yellow in this character, contrasting with the blacks of Lando's suit, and then the faint whites he's got really stand out. I like the usage of the yellow on him versus the yellow of his background. It makes him actually stand out more. It's a good use of contrasting of tones to present like a warm tone. And then the usage of the kind of spice flowing behind him, which makes him seem like a mysterious figure, which ultimately Lando kind of is. We don't really know a lot about him. We know who he is and how he functions. We don't really know what he's done. And he's always seems a bit untrustworthy. And I think they really captured the kind of lovable scoundrel with like the smirk that he's got going on. And then again, it must be said, absolutely fantastic work capturing Donald Glover's likeness as Lando Calrissian in the Solo.
There's definitely been some misses when going for likeness in some art, but this one is
Solo.
definitely... Almost any form of Han Solo that isn't young Han Solo.
Young Han looks incredible in
Yeah,
every
look,
piece of
every
artwork,
piece
isn't
of
it?
art. But yeah, absolutely, it's really, really well done to capture his likeness in this, and it looks just like Donald Glover, therefore Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, I wish this was played more because it's art that I love to see on the table.
It's actually starting to see a rise up just because of some interesting smuggle plays it can do. But also, again, this I would say Eric's really good at capturing likenesses in general. I think on For a Cause, he really captures Diego Luna. Obviously, Mark Hamill for Luke looks very good in set one. Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon. And then he's additionally done the work for Bravado, this set. Omega, Smuggler's Aid, all of those again captured. And then a bit for set 3, he's done the work for two of my favorite artworks in the set. Count Dooku, I'm very impartial to Count Dooku. And Captain Rex.
Captain Rex is a fantastic art piece of set 3. And while we're talking about set 2 art, but set 3 art is definitely up there with it as well. And that Rex art is probably one of my favorite
And
arts
Wartime
of the game.
Chancellor. He actually did Chancellor Palpatine's artwork as well. But I think a lot of the profile has been kept to set 3 for this because he's got as much set 3 artwork as he does for nearly set 1 and 2 combined. So it seems they're shifting, like that by the looks of it, they're allowing all artists to get their time in the sun, which I really like. You know, they each get a few cards in every set, but some sets they might get more of a chance to put their artwork in the forefront. And I think that letting someone who is incredibly good at capturing the likeness of actors and characters into a set which has so many notable characters is a really genius move. So that's I want to talk about Eric Kibbeler. So that's his artwork. Please go check him out. Who you got?
I'm going to absolutely butcher this name, so I apologize in advance for it. But this is Ignacio Bazan Lazcano. Absolutely butchered that. The art that I really want to talk about with him is Bounty Hunter's Quarry.
When you first saw this artwork, because I was like, this is gorgeous artwork, but you came to me and you said, I love this. And when you first saw it, you said there's more to this artwork piece that we haven't seen too, because they gave us a cropped portion of it.
Yeah, because we just saw the Millennium Falcon, we didn't see also the
we didn't see
in
the fire spray. And when we got this full artwork, I'm pretty sure you were like, this is a contender for my favorite art in the set.
Absolutely. Seeing this as like a full art is so nice. I think they're capturing of the menacingness of the Fetz fire spray and the kind of smallness of the Falcon. Really, and Bounty Hunter's Quarry, right? It really goes to show exactly what this card wants to show, and that's it's stalking.
Yeah, it uses perspective well to draw attention using light colors towards the Falcon while keeping the hunting fire spray in the shadows, which is exactly what you want.
Light effect coming through from the left-hand side of the card, through the Falcon, and then just kind of like the shots through all the debris, I think is just such an amazing kind of picturesque moment.
It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous card.
I think it's definitely up there as one of my favorite arts in SWU in total.
We have this in Hyperfoil too.
Hyperfoil is really, really nice for this one. But yeah, Ignacio is... I like a lot of his art, actually. There's a few other notable cards that he has. From set 1, he did the Devastator art.
Pretty good artwork.
That's the only one he did for set 1. But hey...
If you're going to do a card, do a legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. And do it that well.
Yeah, true.
I think that's Devastator is still one of my favorite. Like, it's up there with Finalizer.
It's very imposing as well.
Yeah. I think Gar Saxon's Gauntlet as well is another one that he did. I have a hyperspace foil of that, and I love that hyperspace foil. I think that's one of the nicest. I love the background of it and the swirls that he does there.
It's an underutilized card as well, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think run into the problem of blue's just so locked to a certain play style that it's hard to move it to use other cards.
Yeah.
Another one that I absolutely love the colouring of is the Lurking Tie Phantom.
Yeah,
I
the
think
purples.
I think
Oh.
for some reason, this and Bodhi Rook are both yellow cards with purple backgrounds that go so well together.
Purple is a complementary color of yellow and orange, so it pops very, very nicely and contrasts incredibly well together. The colder tones of purple against the warmer tone of yellow ultimately makes it look incredible. And using purple rather than black as the color to define like sneaky and disappeary is something that I like more than using it just like shrouded in dark shadows. I think purple adds an element that is, in my opinion, more Phantom-esque.
Yeah, it also really captures the brightness of space, which is really interesting. I think there's some rare, but there's some of the spaceship cards that you see that kind of are... The spaceship looks gorgeous, but everything else is just kind of black and marked lightly. I think the use of the asteroids in this as well is the same thing with Bounty Hunter's Quarry and the debris field. I think the asteroids in Lurking Tie Phantom really bring a sense of realness and to the art, and I think it really creates a situation where I look at that and I'm like, that's a spaceship flying through space. That looks absolutely gorgeous. Another one that he's done that I really enjoy is the Millennium Falcon from set 2.
A lot of spaceships.
A lot of spaceships. All spaceships, actually.
Oh, wow.
All of his art is spaceships. One of them is an event. It is a
event with spaceships.
But it's an event with spaceships. So that's really nice. I have that in Hyperspace Foil as well. And that's a really nice Hyperspace Foil card, that one.
It is.
It's one of those ones that you kind of discount until you see the Hyperspace version of it. And you go, oh, actually...
That is making the Kessel run.
Yeah. And then moving into set 3, we actually have one of the recent ones that were announced. Anakin's Interceptor.
Where the fun begins?
Oh,
I really like this card.
And this art is really nice as well.
Yes.
It's got that... A bit of a different vibe to the others, a little bit more glossy, I find, looking at the...
Vibrant. It's vibrant.
It's very, very vibrant. And I think the Coruscant, this Coruscant world underneath that, all those red circles of the Coruscant world really make this artwork
Similar
pop.
to Invisible Hand, with Coruscant being a backdrop for cards, makes them really stand out. Interestingly, as well with this card, this leads me to believe that, you guys will know before us, but I think we'll see Anakin tomorrow.
It's entirely possible. I'd love to see Anakin, see what he does, but I do believe we've already had our hero for the week, so we'll probably get a villain.
Oh, yeah, true.
So Anakin will probably be next week, but we'll see. I'm keen to see what we get tomorrow.
But I think that's interesting, and it's very cool that that artists are going purely for one arena zone as well, and doing it well.
I think at the end of the day, people artists have styles.
Yes.
So if they and it shows that they're talking to the artists and being like, what do you want to do? What do you want to draw? And people are like, I love spaceships. I want to draw these spaceships, and I'm good at it.
Yeah.
They're like, awesome. Yeah. Have these.
No one's going to do it better than that.
And not even that. These iconic spaceships of the Falcon.
I think that's the most important thing, is that the ships,
the Fire Spray and the Devastator.
The ships are almost characters.
And also Anakin's Intercept, obviously.
Yeah. And the ships are almost characters in their own right, in Star Wars.
But yeah, that's Ignacio Bazan Lazcano. Check him out. I really like all of the art that he's done for this, and I really hope that we get another one for set 3, because if it's from him and it's a ship, it's
going to be good. You know it's good.
Yeah, I have very high hopes for it.
Once again, I'll probably butcher this name. Apologies to Aitor Prieto. Incredible artwork. I wanted to today talk about Salacious Crumb, because I really like Salacious Crumb. I really, really do. I genuinely love his artwork.
No, absolutely valid. It's taking a different approach of less it's not like the, oh my god, so beautiful, and more just like, this is Salacious.
I love him. I think that Aitor does one thing incredibly well, and I think that that's catching an aspect of Star Wars very important to a lot of people in our generation, specifically, rather than growing up on the older movies, but growing up on the Saturday morning cartoon style, where he's done notable works like Greedo, Zeb, who's a character very close to my heart. I very much like Zeb's artwork. The Yoda promo, which is notably my favorite Set 1 promo.
It's true.
And then also, probably my favorite Set 2 leader, Hondo. Jabba, Salacious, and I think that he captures that very cartoonesque feel, and has even some of the cards even have like a goofiness to them, but it's done in a way that doesn't discount the art. Like Salacious Crumb, I look at that and I can hear his little in the back of my head. And like it's perfect the way it's framed, as if it's Jabba looking down at him.
Yeah.
And then I think it just captures that goofy side. Like even the artwork of Jabba is sort of goofy but imposing. And then my favorite part about the card is that you've got Salacious Crumb right behind Jabba with his beady little eyes.
Yeah, with their glowing eyes.
Like, so I think it's the same with Hondo's leader, where he's like rubbing his hands together and he's like a little greasy businessman. But I think that it just captures that sort of whimsical Saturday morning kind of feel when you like rush to the TV and you turned on Star Wars and you got to see these really stylized characters and scenarios. He's done the artwork for Deathmark, Relentless Pursuit, and in Set 3, he's currently done 2 of my favorite pieces of artwork from Set 3, and that is the Newt Gunray leader, because I simply cannot get over how well Aitor does little guys in the background on his cards, and there definitely is. You've got Newt Gunray, and then I can't remember his advisor's name, but he's there in the back looking real concerned about what
what's going on right now.
Is pulling up, and then. Recently, we had a new card called Political Pressure Release, where it's just a Quarren, like, tapping... I think that might be either a Mon Cala Royal, maybe the king, but also probably just a senator. But just tapping the senator's chest, and the senator just looks uninterested. And then in the background, you've got a couple of people kind of like, ooh, while he's just like...
I think that might be when in that one where the king's, like, fighting for his... And then they're
King
like, you've got to give up. And so I think that's the king there. I could be wrong. Could be one of these.
But no, it's amazing, and it also as well, Kit Fisto, the Smiling Jedi, just absolutely fantastic.
I do really like Kit Fisto's art in this one. I think they're doing a really good job. The flowing locks. Locks.
his tentacular hair. I think the most important thing is that he captures the fun of Star Wars rather than the great epic space opera interesting. Star Wars still has fun parts and fun characters, and a lot of the time they're fun because they're goofy. And I think that's really captured really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. My second art that I'm going to be talking about has only done one piece of art for Set 2. I talked about this artist actually when we did our Set 1 art reveal. This is Anne Molina. And they did The Force Is With Me and the Leia Showcase. The Force With Me one that I talked about in the first one that I really enjoyed. In Set 2, they've probably done one of my... It would be my favorite legendary of the set, and that is Rey. And I think that they did absolute justice to this piece of art.
It's gorgeous.
And I've been wanting a hype. I haven't been able to get around to it, but this is a card that I said from the beginning, I want a hyperspace version of this. Weirdly enough, not hyperspace foil. I want just a hyperspace version of it because I think the matte of the regular hyperspace goes so well with the coloring on this. And it really is this bold take on Rey, and it really takes a more anime kind of look to it.
It really is, isn't it?
That is a little bit different to everything else, but these kind of like that striking red that covers most of the background is such a nice like backdrop to this Rey, and the motion that she has, and like because Rey's color scheme is very muted. It always has been because she grew up on Tatooine, has that kind of muted color scheme, and then the bright blue saber as well. That's kind of in mid swing. contrasted on that kind of very flat red background with, you can see the kind of the guys fighting in the background.
The Praetorian guards.
The guards, yeah. And I think this is my favorite legendary art of the set. It's up there with my favorite art of the entirety of SWU.
Yeah.
I think this card, Anne absolutely nailed the art on this card, and to me, this is the best use of contrast that I have seen on a SWU card.
Yeah, red, the dull colors, the dull, muted, cooler colors, because Ray is very cool, grays and blues and muted, cool colors on red.
Yeah, on that bright, such a bright vibrant red as well. Like, it's just such an interesting take on the character and on the scene and on like that. I couldn't imagine a better use for our first Ray legendary.
I agree, and you can't talk about Ray without talking about Kylo. I love the artwork of Kylo Ren where he says, "Take my hand, take my hand, take my hand," because I think that this artwork is amazing. This artwork is done by Amelie Hutt. She has done a lot of artwork.
I think I talked about Amelie Hutt from doing snapshot reflexes in our last.
Yes. Yeah. She did
in our last thing, I talked about Amelie Hutt.
She's done a lot more.
Oh yes, she did a lot.
So Bosk, Fennec, Han, 2 base arts for this set: Razor Crest, Mystic Reflection, Poe.
Darksaber.
Yeah, Darksaber, and next set she's also got
Very
Kiadi.
nice.
She's done a lot of legendaries. Most notably, the thing I like a lot about her artwork is her usage of harsh shading. She tends to opt for, rather than gradients, she just goes for blotch color shading, which is something I really appreciate. I paint miniatures in my spare time. I'm not super great at it, but I'm decent at it, and I enjoy it. So seeing something similar to this, where it's what a lot of people would consider like non-metallic metals on, the Mandalorian, where it's just a series of greys and whites, but it's built up in a non-gradiented way that blends really nicely, that looks like actual super reflective metal on the Darksaber. And I think that she's done an incredible job with that on the Kylo card, because the reds and blacks match perfectly with the outline of the card. I look at this card and you could show me the artwork and I know that this is a red villain card. And I think that's so important, with the sparks flying behind him and then he's leaning out and holding sand. I think it's a really interesting choice, and one that I implore and agree with, to not have the lightsaber.
Yeah.
I think just the focus of the character, capturing Adam Driver's, again, essence in this artwork is incredible. It's such an important scene. I like how the light shrouds around him, just like in the scene where it's like he's meant to come off to Rey, and it's from this point, this POV is meant to be Rey looking at him, and he's got that light surrounding him, like we should consider that offer, like he is someone to be trusted. But ultimately, the colors surrounding him, harsh black tones and harsh red tones, lead us to believe that he is indeed a villain.
And if I see that right, we also cannot talk about Amelie without talking about the Poe Dameron himself, because that is also incredible, and also very obviously red hero.
Yeah, red. It's such a red hero. Again, you can show me this without the border, and this is a red hero card, because it's got that use of Poe himself is covered in white. He's got white shirt. He's got that light brown bandolier. But then the foreground cards, the foreground boxes and things, reds, blues, fast moving. That leads us to associate with an aggressive movement, and they fly now.
They do in fact fly now, and this is one of my favorite arts of the set as well. This is when we first saw these cards. We're like, that's Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, too bad
That's
he's not a playable legendary. Just kidding. He's a very playable.
But yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Good on Amelie. The fantastic art throughout SWU. Obviously, a lot of cards that she's done, and all of them really, really good. So let me see what I have for my last one
You got
here.
your last one, and then I got mine. Ha
I see. Someone who has done quite a lot of art moving into set 2 of Star Wars Unlimited, the art that I really want to talk about is very, very underrated art, because a card that is not very played often. Actually, the first time that I've ever seen it played was on last week's gameplay. I actually had to. It's one of the few cards that we've never used. We did not review it. We did not give it a score, and we had not played it until that moment. I know because I download every single card when I edit stuff, and I don't delete anything. So if it's not on there, then I've never used it before. And that's bounty posting. This card is actually just a really nice card, and I think you can overlook the art a little bit sometimes when you're not really paying attention. But they're drawing that's Black K right there, and
I was going to say, notably, one of 2 cards to feature Black K.
Yeah, and Black K is the center of the thing. Him putting in the bounty posting and accepting a bounty. Is the main focus, but there's so much going on in this artwork. You have bartenders carrying around with drinks. You have, obviously, this is a sleazy bar in the middle of space, it's some space station that they're at, and you can see that very clearly. This little bat guy that takes up this weirdly large amount of forefront of the card. It's a card that really captures the I'm in a space bar atmosphere.
That cantina, I think one big thing that I really appreciate with Bounty Posting's artwork is that the darkness of it all contrasts the yellow of the border really well. But unlike cards like Fighters for Freedom, where there is no real focal point, Black K is the focal point. You see him, your eyes are drawn to him first, and then once they're on him, it spreads out and it immerses you in this kind of bar. It's as if you're in the position where you're sitting at a table with this little Batman and you notice Black K walk in and punch it. And then that's really cool. And it's thematic for how the card works when you play it too, which isn't often seen. That the artwork is gorgeous in this game, but it can be difficult to have artwork reflect card text.
Absolutely. And I think to me, it was one of the things where we were looking at art for the episode, seeing which ones we liked the most, and I came across and I was like, I really like this art. And then I looked a little deeper into it. And I was like, I really like this part and this part. And then I looked a little deeper into it. I was like, and this and this. And this cool detail that they've added here.
And suddenly he woke up in a cantina full of aliens.
Yeah, it was crazy. It took me 3 light years to get back here. I don't know what's happened. I don't know who I am anymore. It's changed me for the better or worse.
Yeah, and since you've been back, we've got the Revan leader from the set 53. So, but no, the artwork's amazing on Bounty Posting.
No, absolutely.
What other artwork has this artist done?
So James Daly, is the artist here. Not me. Wouldn't that be a flex?
No.
If I was like, by the way, my favorite artist is me. No, he's done quite a lot. So he did, in set 1, he did the Cantina Bouncer, and my personal favorite showcase of set 1, which was the Emperor Palpatine showcase. He did a few notable ones that I really do enjoy from set 2 is Remnant Reserve, which I think is a fantastic art piece, Ruthlessness, and Swoop Down, all of which are
gorgeous art. A lot of mid-action underworld themes.
And mid-action is kind of the name of his game, honestly, because we've moved into set 3 and he's got 2 cards, both of which are in the middle of action. We have The Clone Wars.
Oh, that did happen.
Where we've got, again, it's one of these artworks
the Clone War?
that you just scroll into and it feels like it scrolls forever, because at first you look at it and you go, yep, there's Mace Windu, there's a bunch of clones, there's a bunch of droids. And then you scroll in and you go, there's some B2 battle droids in there, and
there's a tank in there.
And you scroll in. I was like, there's a capital ship in the background.
It actively just is a battleground. They shrunk.
And there's a tank in there. If you how can I keep scrolling? And now I'm in a war, and it's going to take me 3 light years to get home.
I want that to be a map. I want that to be on a map.
Yeah, absolutely. And then next to that, we have one of the greatest named cards in the set.
Don't try it.
I have the high ground, which is also just gorgeous. It's a lovely, lovely thing, and I think the real key to James and what he does extremely well, and even when you start to look at Cantina Bouncer, you start to see some his backgrounds are so detailed, and it's no wonder there's given all these shots where there's multiple things happening on screen, because his layout of the art and his layout of the art and his ability to have depth in his art
still maintains a focal point whilst having an expansive background.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's really, really cool.
And world building cards.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of stuff in here that I really enjoy his thing, and I hope he gets more cards coming into set 3 and further, because he does a fantastic job. Another thing about next sets, I want the person who did all the ships to do all of set 4.
All of set 4.
All of set 4.
Jump to light speed.
Jump to light speed. That's going to be fantastic.
I completely agree. I think Bounty Posting is very gorgeous and an underrated card. My last artist is Christina Lavinia.
Because of your love of vigilance.
Yes.
How much you love that card. And think
I actually do really like the artwork.
The art is fantastic.
One thing that I want to say, Christina Lavinia did the artwork for Quinlan Voss. One thing I would like to say about Christina's artwork is that aside from Jawa Scavenger, who I love, she captures stern, focused, or angry looks really well. She did the Hera Showcase for set 1.
That checks out.
She did Vigilance for set 1.
That checks out.
She did Jawa Scavenger for set 1, that one cost 2, one Saboteur. But Hera's Showcase, where she's like locked in, angry, like protective mama bear mode.
Yeah.
And Quinlan's art, where he is like focused, like ready to strike. He's got that grimace. And most importantly, she did artwork for a card that I personally am very partial to. She did the artwork for Given to Your Anger.
We do love that card here on the Spy Squadron.
We do. This artwork is absolutely fantastic, where you see Vader in the corner holding his lightsaber up to block Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber as he bears down on him while the Emperor eggs him on. All of your friends are dead. Strike him down. Give in to your anger. And just, it's amazing. Every time I see this, I get to feel like I'm rewatching that scene. And I think that it's very easy to misconstrue emotions when it comes to artwork, especially anger. This card does not miss. This card is true to its title. If you were to show me this artwork and go, guess what it's called? Without knowing, I definitely would at least say that it's something to do with anger. I would, strike him down or something like that from that scene. And I think ultimately, all of it culminates into the starkness of Luke's expression, highlighted by the red and the green of the lightsabers.
Yeah, I think the red and the green lightsabers in this really shine and really draw attention, which is a really goodness. And I think
absolutely.
I really enjoy that art as well. As partial as we are to it, it is genuinely one of our favorite arts of the set. And
ultimately, I want to see more angry guys and gals and anything in between.
We do love our angry guys and gals.
Yeah, I just want to see more cards. I think set 2 artwork, ultimately, overall, absolute bang, absolute hit, no misses. Set 3 is shaping up to be wild.
Yeah.
There are some absolutely fantastic pieces of artwork. Genuinely have seen no misses. I genuinely, for sets 1 and 2, there were complaints about card art.
Yeah.
There was. I have seen not a peep out of people when it comes to set 3.
I've seen some, but
I've not seen any that cause any as much of a splash as set 1. I personally have not seen any. I've seen people just comment about how much they love it, and I really do. I really love what we're seeing. Count Dooku's depiction with Sir Christopher Lee, one of my favorite all-time actors ever. And to see such honor and regalness in not only one of my favorite actors, but one of my favorite characters, is amazing. And then to see that contrasted with the goofiness of a character like Newt Gunray and capturing that nature of him being like a little scheming weirdo. Just, how could this ever possibly go wrong? Make a battle droid. Just stuff like that. And I think that it's fantastic. And ultimately, I want to give one more shout out to Marcus Lenz for Crag and Gore. And I will not elaborate.
God damn it. But that is, we're going to cut off a little bit early for this one. Be prepared. Next episode, we're going to go a little bit long.
We're going to get meta crazy again.
We're going to be talking about 3 leaders, and we're going to be talking about our final tier list. We're going to be back up there with the microphones and our lovely tier list for the second time, but it's going to be our final set 2 full tier list.
And this will be based on our opinion, but also we will use how the meta has shaped up.
Yeah, and so we'll be using tournaments as
reference. This will be a more, rather than our biased opinion based of how the sets go and what we'll do for set 3 and stuff.
I mean, there's still biases.
There is still biases, but this will be more researched, and rather than being based on what our initial thoughts are on the leaders like the original one, this will be based on the evidence we have to suggest that they're good.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely tune into that one. Check it out. Check out the gameplay this week. We have some interesting decks going.
Against each other.
Yeah, going against each other. But we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.